The charming villain, opposites attract friendships, and the old and wise mentor. You've seen them before in countless stories again and again, but they never get tiring. What are they, you ask? Well, they're called tropes, and there are many questions new writers ask about them. Why do people use them? Is it bad to use tropes? What exactly is a trope? Actually, let's answer that question now. What is a trope? A trope is a recurring element, theme, line of dialogue, image, or character with a universal appeal. Basically, it's something writers have been using in their writing for years that people still like. There are so many tropes that it's pretty much impossible to write a story without using a single one. You might be thinking, no, that's a cliché, not a trope. And to you, my dear viewer, I say, no, it's a trope. So, if that is a trope, then what is a cliché? Where a trope is something you've seen again and again but still like it, cliches and cliché tropes are something that has been used so many times that you can't help but just roll your eyes when they're used. What's the difference between a cliché and a cliché trope, I hear you ask? Well, a cliché is an overused phrase, such as, I stopped dead in my tracks, or you're on thin ice. A cliched trope is the chosen one, or it was all just a dream. While a well-used trope can strengthen a story, a cliché will pull your reader out of it and ruin the experience. I'll go over how to avoid and improve clichés in another video, but for now, let's go over a few examples of tropes. Some tropes include enemies to lovers, the anti-hero, breaking the fourth wall, and the annoying character has a point. You've seen these at least once in a piece of writing, and it comes as no surprise that other pieces of writing have also used them. It's because they work, simple as that. The reader enjoys watching these two enemies slowly become more than friends. The anti-hero fight for good, but not in the typical heroic way, and how characters like Deadpool break the fourth wall. What about the annoying character has a point though? The character's annoying, so why do we like them being right? Well, we don't. No one does. Not the reader, or the characters, or sometimes even the author. But it's still something that the writer puts in. Why, I hear you wonder? Well, it's to progress the story. None of these morally right protagonists are going to suggest something such as how one character they all trust could be the alien. But now the annoying character has said that, it has raised tension, changed character relationships, and caused doubt to arise among the characters and in the reader. Going over all of this, the question is now, is using tropes bad? Should I read over my writing and try to get rid of all the tropes I've written into it? Won't that improve my storytelling, making it different from other works and make it stand out? No. Just no, using tropes in your storytelling is actually a good thing. But a good rule of thumb is, don't go crazy with them. Don't add tropes for the sake of having them in your story, and don't remove them just because they're there. Then again, if you see a trope that you'd like to use it. And if you've written in a trope and see that it is in fact a trope, leave it. Unless it ruins the experience. Like I said a while ago, tropes work and readers like them, so why not use them? But after saying that, I feel like I must add that just because you can use them and people like them, doesn't mean that you should. Write your story your way, but also beware of the tropes you write in. There are very dangerous tropes that many writers unknowingly use. As the website selfpublishingschool.com says, bury your gaze is a notorious trope where an LGBT plus character, often the only one or one of very few, is killed for little to no narrative reason or as a harmful and arguably lazy plot device. Consider a writer who is unaware of the bury your gaze trope. They might include an LGBT plus character who happens to be killed off, and they might consider that fair representation of a minority group because they simply aren't aware that it's a harmful trope that has been thoroughly repeated in all forms of media. What should you take away from this? Research the tropes you feel like could be potentially harmful to a group of people. Don't be scared off from tropes by the possibility of a single trope and a million others that could ruin your career. Simply be aware of which tropes you should use and which ones you shouldn't. And of course, don't rely on tropes. Using tropes can make your story better, but using them as a crutch for your writing will just make it feel unoriginal and stale. So research your tropes, find the good and the bad, and know when to stop. I'm Sketchy, you're amazing, and I'll see you later. Good luck writing.